If you're struggling to make property investing work for you, then this video is for you. I'm going to be going through the 5 pitfalls I fell into in my early years of property investing, which without question made the journey to building my multi-million pound property portfolio and building my £2 million turnover property sourcing business that much slower and painful. So let's get into it. Number 1 is ego. For me personally, starting my property business at 21, 22 years old, over 10 years ago, I definitely had this big unfounded confidence that I was better than everyone else, that if other people out there can make a success of it, so can I. And as I say that out loud, it's not like that is 100% a bad thing, because that naivety and overconfidence that I had is what pushed me forward to make a success of things, when in reality, the odds were stacked against me. I actually looked into if there are any studies that confirm ego to be a negative trait. And it actually turns out there's no universally accepted study that proves that ego is inherently negative. The perception of ego being good or bad comes down to you, the person, and if it's serving you positively or negatively. But where ego has really flipped into a negative for me is when my ego got in the way of me listening, learning, and seeking knowledge to better myself. I was so focused on having to do everything myself, needing to have all the answers, when in reality, I didn't have to. Didn't have to do everything myself, and I could seek advice and help from loads of people around me. I'm without doubt so much better at leveraging the knowledge and help around me now than I ever have been. You, me, we all are capable of a lot of incredible things, but we will never reach our potential by remaining insular. It's been a massive learning curve for me to tilt my ego into a positive force and focus on being the best version of me. That links really nicely to the second thing, which is not seeking education. Education is power, and I think the real issue in our education system is for a lot of kids, they learn to build a negative association to learning. Going to school, having lessons, learning, I think for a big portion of kids is something they don't look forward to. Through school, even through university, I really hated the process of lessons, lectures, homework, coursework, exams, and it always felt like I couldn't kind of wait to get my education out the way so that I could start out in the real world of making money. But in reality, the world of making money is all about learning and educating yourself, not in the traditional way of school and university, but in the more modern way of doing what you're doing now, watching videos like this, reading books, going on courses around a subject you want to get better in. Now, this isn't just my opinion. There's been loads of research and studies here in the UK and around the world that show a positive correlation between education and better life outcomes, and not just your financial well-being, but even things like health outcomes and quality of life. Now look, educating yourself around something is not guaranteed to success. In the same way, not educating yourself around something doesn't guarantee failure. But life is all about increasing the odds your life is going to go and unfold the way you plan and want. For me personally, as I've got older and older, I've been falling in love more and more with educating myself, seeking mentors, watching as much educational content as I can, reading books, going on courses. And as I go through that lifelong learning mentality I'm building, I can't help but think what a shame I hated school so much. Comment below if you agree and how you think we can improve the education system for our kids. Number 3 is fear. Now, I suspect if you've listened to what I've said about ego and education and agreed with those things, a big thing that's going to stop you from taking action, and has without doubt stopped me from taking action, is fear. Now, we all understand and have most likely experienced that crushing feeling of fearing failure. I put off for a long time starting this YouTube channel out of fear of failure. But did you know the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor conducts annual surveys that investigate entrepreneurial activity around the world? And fear of failure as one of the factors measured in those surveys. And research has shown that higher levels of fear of failure are associated with lower rates of entrepreneurship and business success. There are a whole bunch of other studies that prove out a real connection between fear damaging the likelihood of better financial outcomes. It is just unquestionable. Of the 5 things I'm going through, learning to combat fear effectively, making sure fear doesn't stop you doing the things you know will make your life better, directly affects how well you can harness the other 4 tips on this video. And if you comment that you feel no fear ever, to be honest, I just don't believe you. Nelson Mandela said, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." Number 4, networking. You might have heard the statement, your network is your net worth. And when I first heard that statement, I automatically associated my professional network being what that statement is referring to. That my professional network is what is going to have the biggest impact on my net worth. But in reality, although your professional network is undoubtedly important, you need to put yourself out there, go to property networking events, meet new people, build connections and learn from other people's experiences. What is equally important is your closer personal network of friends and family. I don't think any of us disagree with that, but yet it can be so easy to mismanage that balance, to work all the time at the consequence of those more personal connections that make our life so rich. This is such a difficult thing to give advice on because I've fallen into that trap of not networking enough, but also fallen into that trap of being a complete workaholic and not focusing on building those networks in my personal life with friends and family. No easy answer to this other than it is important to recognize when you think about the statement, your network is your net worth, think there are 2 halves to consider, your professional network and your personal network that makes up your net worth. And finally, number 5, not managing your finances. I'm going to sound like a bit of a broken record, but if you're not tracking and managing your finances, whether it is your personal finances or that of your business with equal importance, you are just mad. It is so easy to focus on what you make, but it is equally important to know what you spend. Even if you have the right properties in the right areas, mismanaging your finances can act as an invisible anchor holding you back. Every penny you blindly waste is one less penny you can invest to further build your wealth. For me, the key is as long as I know what I'm spending on what, I'm happy. That sounds super simple, but in reality, it is that simple. You need to know what your money is going on in all aspects of your life. And if you do that, you'll automatically start to notice what's worth spending and what isn't. In conclusion, these 5 things, in particular number 3 on fear, are things I wish I was more aware of when I started my journey of entrepreneurship over 10 years ago. If there are any other tips you think I should have mentioned, write them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.